Back with Ilya St. Clair, who's going to walk us through some of the cool features of Intel AMT technology.
Oh, it's St. Hilaire. It's not St. Clair.
Back with...
Keep going. Really, keep going.
Go.
You're not going to stop taping this. Anyway, he was going to make a mistake for this. I'm not allowing it. So I take every time. So I'm just going to show you just a couple cool features of Intel AMT. Of course, everybody knows about Intel AMT Commander. And basically you add computers on the left side. Most people are familiar with this. And what I want to show is I'm going to right click, say take control. And what I want to show is how you can use the VT100 terminal here to remotely control a computer. Now on the left side, all the way here, I have an Intel vPro machine. Actually, this is an HP machine. It's it's available in the market for over a year now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select remote command, and I'm going to say power down, go. And boom, you saw the computer go down. So I'm going to go remote control, and I'm going to say reboot to BIOS setup. And as you look here, I'm going to say OK. And now the computer's booting back up. And normally you would never be able to do this with a normal computer. Be able to take the computer from off, remotely turn it on, and then instruct the BIOS to go straight into the BIOS settings. So now I have the language menu. It's showing up here. I can go and select the language I want. I'm going to select English. And now I am in the BIOS screen. And you can see the BIOS screen here. And I can go and start changing settings. So for example, about, enter. There you go. And I'm moving all the menus and so on, so forth. So this is great because I can remotely go and diagnose the BIOS remotely. I can remotely change, for example, the boot order. I can take a look at the device configuration, so on and so forth. Now another couple of things I want to show is I can go remote command, and I'm going to do a normal reboot. OK. And now the computer is just going to do a normal reboot to the OS. Now while that's happening, I want to show you a couple of other things I could do. With Intel AMT vPro, I can take a look at the hardware asset, which is all the stuff that's available in that computer. All the built-in cards, the memory, the hardware modules, the media. For example, here we have a 74 gigabyte hard drive. We see all the properties of that hard drive, the processor, the BIOS versions, and so on and so forth. The way the hardware inventory is populated here is that every time the BIOS boots, it enumerates all of the hardware that's available on that computer, all the expansion cards, the hard drives, and so on and so forth. It takes a snapshot of that and pushes it over to the management engine, to AMT. And I can now remotely go over the wire and get that. And I can get that even if the computer is off. I also want to talk about one other really interesting thing. Inside the terminal here, on the upper right, there's a indication of the power state of the computer. Right now it says full power. If I go and I click and I say power down, OK, it's going to say transit. In a few seconds, it's going to indicate the new updated power state. And since I just shut the computer off, in a few seconds, it's just going to say soft off. Now, what I want to talk about is that this is the first time with vPro and AMT that you can actually contact the computer while it's asleep and confirm that the computer is there. So if somebody takes the computer away, you can tell the difference between a computer that's sleeping and a computer that's been taken away from the network. So if you want to do asset control, if you want to check what memory, if memory was stolen or stuff like that, or if you want to make sure that the system is always connected on the network and alert the administrator if a computer was removed, Intel AMT is fantastic for that. I can keep all my computers asleep, I can save a lot of power, but I can keep control over all my computers. So that's a couple of the features.
Great. Can you can you take control of multiple computers, or is it always one-to-one?
You can. Of course, in my case here, you can open multiple windows. So for example, I can connect to 2 computers at once. And when you say take control, I would now have 2 windows, to take control of. So there's also a batch feature in Intel AMT. I can say batch, and here I can select multiple computers at once, and I can do, for example, mass, reboot all the computers at the same time. I can turn off all the computers at the same time, turn them back on at the same time. And I can also launch a redirected drive all at the same time. From the user base, the record so far is actually 21 computers rebooted and reformatted remotely at the same time using the software. So it's enough for a classroom, for example.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right. House of meat. So talking with Ilian about how these kind of systems might be used in a classroom setting or in a business setting where you're administering multiple machines.
Right. So there's a couple of operations you can do in batch. For example, I want to do asset inventory control. I want to do network filters. I want to remotely make sure that all my computers are off. These are operations you tend to do in a batch. You can have a view of 20 machines at the same time and see which ones are on and which ones are off. But there's some operations like break fix. A specific machine has a problem. You want to go and fix it. Those tend to be one-to-one, operations.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why there's a little bit of two modes to the tools.
But typically, a user would have responsibility for a whole network of machines.
Right.
Is this supported, or?
Oh, absolutely. So of course, if an individual user has a problem, you will call you and you can fix this problem.
Right.
But of course, a lot of the value of AMT is not only when you break fix, when there's a problem and you want to fix it. A lot of the value of AMT is just passive. Everything's going well, but I want to do asset inventory tracking. I want to do network tracking. I want to do software monitoring. Make sure what software is running on my machine. Is my antivirus running correctly, and so on and so forth. So there's lots of operations are passive and are batch, and so we support that, of course.
What about network considerations? What if you're in the midst of a process of one sort or another and you're losing power, you're losing network? Is that going to be an issue?
Yeah, of course. The Intel AMT assumes that you have power plugged into the computer and you have network. On the other hand, Intel AMT is OS agnostic. So you can have operating system completely not working at all, and you can still talk to Intel AMT as long as you have power, you have memory in the first bank, and you have Ethernet working. So if your network really goes down, like your switches and stuff, you would want to go and fix those first. And then once you're done, you can use Intel AMT to fix the rest of the machines.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.